back with another stream this morning. We're doing some a little bit off the wall burn in Modern today. There was a list recently did well. It was with Brushfire Elemental in the list as opposed to your usual Boros lists. Brushfire is a card from Zendikar Rising. Basically, it's a 1/1 haste creature. Whenever it's a landfall, it gets +2/+2. So if you're playing a bunch of fetch lands, you can be potentially attacking with a 5/5 on turn 3. Beyond that, you're just using a Gruul shell around it as opposed to a Boros shell. So in that case, you're using things like a Tarkus command as opposed to Boros charm, something we've kind of covered in the past before. Nothing terribly exciting beyond that. I could easily see running Wild Nacatl on a list like this if you wanted to go a little bit deeper. The one change I did make to the original list is I cut the 4 copies of Shard Volley. While you're running a bunch of expendable fetch lands and such, I don't like the 2-for-1 nature of Shard Volley. I consider it a finisher card that at most you can run maybe a 1 of in your deck. So in that case, I'm running Seal of Fire anyway, which covers a bit of a weakness I've covered about Burn before, and that is Burn's a little bit of ability to ineffectively deal with creatures on turn 1 outside of the card Lightning Bolt specifically, especially when it's on the draw, when you can't turn on things like Searing Blaze to deal with your opponent's mana dork before they get to use it. Beyond that, nothing terribly exciting. Basically 4-0s with everything. Notably no Canopy lands in this list as you're trying to trigger landfall and Brushfire Elemental, so it might be a little bit more prone to flood out. You're also running a bunch more fetch lands than usual. You're running 4, 8, 12, 14 fetch lands, so your Brushfire Elemental has the most maximization chance. 3 mountains, 3 stomping grounds are your mana base, so no Copperline Gorges or anything like that. We're really trying to push hard on the Brushfire Elemental strategy. Sideboard, the original sideboard's pretty simplistic. 4 Tormod's Crypt for graveyard decks, 4 Eidolon the Great Rebel against any type of control decks that were combo, especially Storm and such. 4 copies of Destructive Revelry for any type of artifacts or enchantments you're afraid of, so Blood Moon, Leyline of Sanctity, Chalice of the Void coming to mind, but also there are other ones you could run into. And finally, 3 copies of Dismember for additional creature decks, especially against Core Firewalker and such. While it is very painful, that at least gives you an out against that card. So, a little bit simplistic today. Gonna run it through a league, see how it does. I don't have high hopes for this deck, but I do hope we can at least have a positive record, which I've been kind of struggling with in leagues of recent note. So, we shall see how this goes. I thought it was an interesting enough twist on Burn to warrant at least trying something, so it's a little bit different. Definitely not the Boros that we've been running a lot of lately. It's not Rakdos or any of that, but you know, Brushfire Elemental is definitely a card that could be Modern playable, although I think more in a... What's up, Kurok? How are you doing this morning? Definitely something I expect to be more playable in like a Landfall shell than maybe a Burn shell, but certainly a card that, you know, could add to Burn's damage output out of nowhere, especially if you cast it like turn 3 instead of like turn 2, like you normally would like an Eidolon or something, and get the crack the fetch land, hit them for 5 out of nowhere. You know, the upside of the card is quite high. Unfortunately, we have it in our opening hand, but we have no lands, so unfortunately this is going to be a mulligan. This hand is fine. Probably put back a Skewer the Critics, I would guess. Just because we need the land, we really want the Brushfire. And we'll see how this goes. We're automatically getting paired against a discard spell deck, so... Looks like might be Jund. Oh yeah. 5 damage, turn 1. Go, baby. Feels like it could be Shadow, but no Luris does make me wonder a little bit. Pass the turn. This turn should probably inform us a lot if we're up against Shadow or if we're up against regular Jund. Let's probably sitting back on removal here. Not going to try for 1 damage into that much open mana. Yep, okay, it's regular Jund. Not often when you get to profitably trade with a creature from Jund. Opponent with a run-in 6. Good chance our opponent's still sitting on a removal spell. Not even sure I'm supposed to attack here, honestly. Oh, there's Liliana. Unfortunately, we lose our skewer here. So maybe that reason I was actually supposed to just play the skewer, because we expected our opponent to have a removal spell there. I was going to say, our opponent has to have a land if they didn't activate Run beforehand. Opponent should be at 2 if we had done things correctly. Goblin Guy likely wasn't to connect, so that was definitely a error in judgment. Bloodbraid Elf. Looks like a Bloodbraid Elf. Smells like a Bloodbraid Elf, and it is a Bloodbraid Elf. I still would have cast the Assassin's Trophy there if I were my opponent. So outside of Searing Blaze here, we're just dead. Yeah, we're just dead. Because we Seal Fire this. There's no 1 card Does Brushfire do it? No, because we're taking 4 or 5 next turn, so we can't crack a fetch. Yeah, because of my poor sequencing, we lost this game. I should have cast Skewer instead of the card that I cast. Those in. Eidolons are a consideration on the play. Searing Blazes are pretty poor against Jund overall. Seal of Fire isn't exactly the best. I think on the draw we'll probably board out Eidolon or Brushfire, one of the two. On the play we definitely want to keep it in. Once again, poor sequencing on my part cost us that game. We should have won that game. Skewer would have put them to 2 with the fetch land, and then Seal of Fire would have killed them. So, can look at the results and go, well, blah, 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 blah. Well, reality was, no, we lost that game because of my poor sequencing. This hand isn't fantastic either, but I do think we keep it. Jund's one of the matchups where creatures are actually significantly worse than burn spells, generally because Jund just has so many friggin' answers. And Brushfire does get answered by whatchamacallit so easily. Eidolon was actually a pretty good draw here. I'm going to force my opponent to make a decision early here. If they want to kill the Goblin guy, they're not going to get the free land off of it. Wow. Okay. The Jund mana base sucking much. That's, wow. Your Tarmogoyf just ain't doing anything. And can't even bring Crocs back next turn. Problem is here we're given the odd situation where opponent chose not to block. I don't know how I feel about that. Certainly is interesting, isn't it? How you doing this morning, War Dog? Feels really awkward having to have this many creatures in on the draw, but I don't really think Searing Blaze does that much. Seal of Fire's actively bad against a Tarmogoyf deck. D-Rev doesn't do anything. Could argue about bringing in Tormods, but it legit basically only nullifies Tarmogoyf in this matchup. Oh, this hand's tempting, but it's a stinker. Do I risk this hand? I don't think so. This hand is really close, but I think effectively needs 2 lands to be good. So I think we have to mulligan it. This feels real bad against Jund. Keep. Feels real bad to mulligan that low against Jund. Bolt. So with the resolve, they're probably going to take one of the Brushfires. Opponent representing an Assassin's Trophy, potentially. Hoping we'd crack the fetch, I guess. Yeah, I'd give more to the Jund player, except the only reason we're in a game 3 is because I punted, so. Well, yeah. Opponent with a little bit of weakness. I don't know what their last card in hand is. Looks like it was a land. Season Pyro is a little rough. Okay. Opponent trying to race. Maybe they have a Liliana in hand here. The 2 points I took unnecessarily could come back to haunt us potentially. Opponent playing nothing. What is going on over there? Like, they're not killing my Brushfire. They're not... What are they doing? That said, I mean, if they're holding Bolt, you know, we could be dead here, but... And there's no single card in our deck that kills them from here. I guess, not technically true. A fetch land could potentially kill them. Bloodbraid? Kolaghan's Command? Interesting. And we died. Yeah, that was my punt in game one that cost us there. I cast a Goblin Guide into what was quite likely a removal spell as opposed to casting Skewer the Critics, and that ended up costing us the game. This hand is very mediocre. 3, 7, 10 points burn, maybe? Feel like we can do better. This hand's quasi better, I guess. Put back. Lava Spike. I'll mix them in. I'm not, like... I'm going to do less leagues on stuff that I'm less familiar with. Oh, Lord. We're up against Amulet. Rough. Really want to draw a land next turn. fetch land specifically. Oh, fantastic. Or on the Arboreal Grazer version. Not really a ton to comment on our opponent's turn. They're just... Oh, wow. Yeah, I forgot about that line of text. Yeah, that's awkward. I forgot about that line of text. Yeah, yeah. Well, it should be at 6. We'll see if that's even relevant. Yep, that does have another line of text to it, doesn't it? I mean, I really don't know what our opponent took so long. There really is no downside to them grabbing Boros Garrison and Slayer's Stronghold here. You know, we can't interact. We don't have Path Exile in our main deck. There's nothing out of red-green that's going to kill a Titan. Unless they're a complete idiot, they probably should grab Radiant Fountain plus whatever. Presuming they still have Radiant Fountains in their deck. I mean, we basically have, what, Dismembers, maybe a couple D-Res for this matchup. Alright, moving on. There's no way we're... There's no one card in our deck that gets us through there, so... I guess we bring in Dismembers for... whatchamacallit mainly. Searing Blaze, not that great against our deck for the most part. I guess we bring in like a D-Rev or two, because it hits both Amulet and whatchamacallit, Dryad. Yeah, Seal of Fire. Seal of Fire is looking terrible in this league. One lander looking really questionable here. Two lander looking fine, I guess. Probably put back. Lava Spike, I guess? No. Put back Skewer, since we have the Dismember. Yep, opponent's got the turn one Monkey again. Beast, I guess it technically is. Sloth. Hope to grab a fetch land next turn. Opponent's going to have a prime time. Looks like Explorer. Engineered Explosives would kind of suck too. Oh, Azusa, cool. That's if they don't have Garenbrig and just get to play prime time this turn anyway. Engineered Explosives on 2. That's interesting. No, they hit all their land drops so far. So if we presume they're going to crack their thing here. They can probably play a Titan next turn, which there's not much we can do about that. Gonna Seal of Fire their face. Get rid of the Arboreal Grazer with Skewer here, which ends up being the same amount of damage because Swiss Spear will get through now. They're going to deal with Brushfire here, and then I have no idea how we win next turn. They're drawing another Arboreal Grazer, so if they don't have another mana source. Yeah, I mean, they did get the extra land drop from Arboreal. Actually, no, they might have actually missed a land drop because... Okay. This feels like a very weird Summoner's Pact to me. Especially since we know 3 of the 4 cards in their hand, this feels like a really... Oh, Obstinate Baloth, sure. They are missing land drops. This Arboreal Grazer is really freaking annoying, though. Sadly, the Dryad's going to stop us from attack. Well, actually, the Dryad would stop us from attacking, but they don't, yeah. They don't get to cast it this turn. So what's worth more damage? Killing the Arboreal or just doming their face? So if we kill the Arboreal, they go to... three. We just dome their face. They take... possibly 4 as well. 5 at most. So I think we just attack first, see what they do. Hopefully it's not a land, it's another Dryad, so they don't get to cast crap next turn. At least crap that matters, I should say. Past turn. Oh, they've missed several land drops now. We know their entire hand, so this is just lethal. Alright, now we gotta win a game on the draw, which is gonna be challenging. Bring in the third D-Rev now that we've seen Engineered Explosives. Once again, this hand's really close, but I think on the draw I can entertain this hand a little bit more. I always have the frickin' Arboreal. See, of course they'll block, but you know, never hurts. This is risky if they have Obstinate Baloth this turn, but I think chances are their play is going to be substantially worse for us than Obstinate Baloth. Actually, it's possible I was supposed to use a Tarkus command to put a land into play, but I think that might be too cute. You need another green source, friend. That's a Dryad. Sure. A lot of it depends on what their final play is this turn. Titan's gonna suck. Yep, so they get to gain 5 life here. 4 life, put them to 5. Oh, they just have double Radiant Fountain. Never mind. Sure. Those of you wondering why I don't want to play leagues much anymore, this is a prime example. Jund we definitely threw away, or I definitely threw away. That match, I'm not sure. I'm sure there were some sequences there where maybe we can eke out another point of damage. I don't know. Well, it doesn't help that Burn is a large part of the meta right now. So, Burn and Prowess are a large part of the meta, so that doesn't exactly help. His hand once again is Mulligan. His hand's fine. Probably put back a Skewer of the Critics, I guess. So the problem I have, one thing I'm noticing with this list is this list feels like at the same time it wants more lands and less lands than your standard burn list. Brushfire Elemental, I'm sorry, is a 3-mana card. 2 mana to cast and a fetch land to be useful. Alright, yeah, just missed a point of damage there. Opponent should be at 18. Okay, so we're up against Jeskai. That's really not helping the home team at all. This was dumb. I should have just told up Atarka's command here. Opponent probably has Path at this rate. There's no way you let this many Prowess triggers slide by without using a Bolt. Oh, they're Polymorph combo. That's kind of cool. It's actually a deck that'll be coming up this week on Quick Hits. Problem is, we might be dead on turn 4, so, you know. Really, deck? Really? This deck just seems to get stuck on 2 mana way too... Either 2 mana or Flood. Yep, we're going to get polymorphed here. Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. I just punted that game. I just punted. I F6 through the turn, and I shouldn't have. I knew better. I am playing like garbage today. I don't know what is going on with me. Nothing in our sideboard is good, so click some. Actually, no, I take that back. Eidolon's fine. Overseering Blazes. Yeah, that's like 2 massive punts today. Between the, can't keep the 4-lander. I mean, I guess we keep this one. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Okay. Speaking of someone the Burn player hurt, I don't think we're winning this game. Yeah, the problem is we gotta keep Bolt in our hand for interaction with the Dwarf. So I guess I was supposed to suspend Rift Bolt there. Trigger. I was also expecting the Bolt the way our opponent played. If they have Force of Negation, we're like really up a chite crick here. Daylight come and we bolt ourselves. Hey yo, I sing bolt though. Opponent only kept a 2-lander. I mean, maybe that's a hope. Meanwhile, we're going to Flood Town, baby. Deal yourself 3 to deal your opponent 1. Fantastic game choice. Oh, jeez. I mean, that's a magical card, I guess. I mean, do I fire this off now, or do I hope to... I guess we hope to rip a, I don't know, creature. Decent chance we're dead here. You're a little late to the party, friend. Little late to the party. So for those of you that wonder why I don't have much of a desire to play leagues anymore, that's a kind of perfect example. So short takeaway from this league. Number one, decisions matter. Skewer the Critics game number 1 of Jund probably cost us the Jund match. Should have cast Skewer over Goblin Guide. It's quite likely they were representing removal. They had been since turn 1 because they'd seen our Brushfire Elemental, and then auto passing priority against a deck that we knew was Polymorph combo. I know what Polymorph combo does. We had an onboard way to kill their dwarf. Let them resolve the Emrakul. There's a decent chance that they don't resolve Emrakul there, that we could go on to win that game, because they're not actually a long game control deck. And then, yeah, we probably still lose game 2, but then we have the knowledge of Leyline of Sanctity and can bring in D-Rev. So, even though we went 0-3 drop, there's a very good chance we could have been 2-1, and there might have been some type of play decision that I made that could have impacted the Amulet Titan matchup. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and watch if there was some sequencing, especially game number 3. Game number 1 and game number 3, where I could have potentially pushed more damage. So, though the results overall are poor, a lot of it is personal decisions that I made. You could argue certain things like the polymorph stuff wouldn't happen in a real life tournament. You don't just F6 through your turn, but that's the thing with Magic Online is you know the differences if you've been playing it for a while, like I have, and I don't know what's been going on lately. I make stupid errors that I don't normally make, and I'm even talking through the lines, and I still make the wrong play line. I did that with the Skewer. I said I probably should cast the Skewer. I still cast the Goblin Guide. And then Did that also with the F6ing through the turn on what's likely the polymorph slash transmogrify turn for our opponent's deck. As far as the deck, I don't like it. Brushfire Elemental is a confounding card. So it reads red-green, 1/1 haste, landfall, get +2/+2. What it really should say is suspend 1, red-green, has haste. This coming down on turn 2 is a very underwhelming card. It on turn 3 with a fetch land, very good. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, War Dog. I was getting to that in a second. But long story short, this card is just... It's cute, but I don't think this is the right shell for it, if there is a shell. Like something like Landfall Aggro, or I know Jeff Hoagland a long time ago. I don't know if anybody else did it. It was like an aggro Scapeshift deck. Basically, it was a landfall Scapeshift deck that was using Scapeshift, and not even necessarily to kill your opponent with Scapeshift. It was literally killing them with landfall creatures and Knight of the Reliquary. That kind of deck could definitely benefit from Brushfire Elemental. But the problem I had with Brushfire Elemental is there was a lot of hands that, if it was like Eidolon or something, I could have considered keeping, because, Eidolon's truly a 2-mana card. Brushfire, the problem with Brushfire is I can't keep a 1-lander with like multiple Brushfires in hand, because a 1/1 haster just isn't good. The rest of the deck, Seal of Fire, the original list played not Lava Spike. Shard Volley. I am struggling with card names lately. And I'm not a huge fan of Shard Volley, but in a land with this many fetch lands, it's possible Shard Volley's fine. Seal of Fire is better in a meta where you're seeing like small creature decks, and all 3 decks we played against did not have small creatures for the most part. It was relevant a little bit against Polymorph if I'd played a little bit tighter, but we didn't see mirror matches, we didn't see prowess decks, we didn't see Heliod Company, we didn't see elves, we didn't see any of that type of stuff where Seal of Fire is a good card. It's an underpowered shock in a lot of situations, makes our opponent's Tarmogoyf bigger. Neither one card's particularly good in the current of the matches we saw. Autarka's Command, still an awesome card. Love to cast it. Gets around lane line. Can't say enough about this card. In my mind, it's just as good as Boros Charm. Unfortunately, the green spells do not support as awesome of a deck as Boros Charm with Canopy lands. Finally, we either flooded out or we just didn't draw enough lands. That's a problem you don't notice as much in Boros because, well, Boros has Canopy lands. So at least 4 of your lands cantrip, sometimes 5. You don't flood out quite as much. You draw a little bit more gas, have a bit better chance. And finally, the sideboard. Nah. Tormod's Crypt, probably too many of those. Dismember, fill in for Fatal Push / Path Exile. Eidolon in the sideboard because of the setup of the deck. Fine. D-Rev would have brought in a couple matchups. It was fine. But yeah, just in general, this deck feels like a worse version of Boros. I mean, Boros is the gold standard of burn for a reason, and this just feels like an underpowered mess. We're not really gaining anything by running the green other than D-Rev. Autarka's Command can be easily replaced by Skullcrack. I mean, it's just, yeah. This felt like a bit of an underpowered mess. That said, I mean, we were still close to being 2-1. Or 1-1 with a game 3 that could have made us 2-1. So that's why I'm in an odd position, because leagues are better competition. And better competition makes me more cognizant of my mistakes, potentially makes me a better player, but the variance just kills me sometimes. Like, dumping 10 ticks into that league just felt bad. But, I mean, we probably learned more from that league than if I would have played this deck in, say, tournament practice rooms. So, where is the balance lying, you know? I don't know. As far as that goes, that's an ongoing battle in my head as far as leagues versus tournament practice rooms, as far as the quality of the content versus the financial cost whenever you don't do particularly well. So, I know people don't like to talk about that side of Magic, but there is a financial cost of Magic, and sometimes it sucks. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this deck. I just wouldn't. It's a cute deck to play around with, but I wouldn't recommend it if you're trying to seriously win with Burn. But, anyways, I want to thank everybody for hanging out this morning. Wanted to get a stream in. I know I've been slacking on the streams lately. Did get one in yesterday morning. Trying to get a few more in as I can. Definitely will be more content on the YouTube channel today. I have a boatload of stuff I could potentially upload. I'm not sure which ones are going to go up today. But, yeah. I want to thank everybody for hanging out today. War Dog, Korik, everybody else. Hope everybody has a great day. And I'm going to send you guys off to probably Spike. So, hope you guys have a good day.